name is Brelynn, like Essen said. So I'm a previous director for Miss HBCU Teen, so I absolutely love this organization. And I guess I can just go ahead and get straight into my presentation so that we're not wasting too much time because I don't have you guys for long this evening. So my name is Brelynn. I'm a Spelman College alumna. I'm actually now a two-time HBCU graduate because in May, I also graduated from Meharry Medical College with my master's in health sciences. So I have two masters. I'm a master of physiology, a master of health sciences. I'm also a YouTube content creator. I'm a podcaster. I'm a mentor, but most importantly, which you guys will hear me talk about all the time, I am beauty and brains. So I know that there are a few of us on this call here, so I won't put too many of us on the spot, but just as a former director and a person who used to know everybody's name, was there in the interviews, I would love if at least one person would volunteer to let me hear your introduction, your name, your title, where you're from, your talent, and one fun fact. Do you have any brave souls?
Hi, my name is Jean Thomas. I am Miss Tennessee Junior HBCU Teen. Obviously, I live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, but I claim Nashville, Tennessee. My talent is singing. I love all things music. One fun fact. Oh, fun fact. I guess I used to act up until around age 13. Let's go with that. That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that so much. And I'm also super excited for the junior division as well. I can't wait to see what you guys bring to the competition and just in general what this experience is like for you all. So I normally do this presentation to high schoolers, but I think that this is good for anybody to know. So if you all who are well, you guys are high schoolers, so just let me know if you have any questions as I go throughout this presentation, and we'll have more time for people to share throughout. But again, this presentation can get a little bit long, and I want to make sure you guys get all the information, so we're just going to go ahead and move forward. So let's get into my story, okay? Because the reason why I claim myself to be beauty and brains is because when I was in high school, I mean, now we would call it being that girl, right? Like I was that girl, cool. I would walk around, hair done, nails done, makeup done, everything. But people didn't look at that as being an all-around amazing, well-rounded young girl. They thought like, oh, okay, you definitely should go into modeling, or you should go into doing like broadcasting. And those are amazing fields if that's your interest and your passion. But for me, I knew that I wanted to major in STEM and eventually attend a medical school and one day become a doctor. And so here during this presentation, I want to encourage you all to be whatever you want to be. That is the basis of this, because a lot of times society, especially as Black women, put limiting beliefs on us. And so it's so important that we lift each other up and we continue to believe that we can do whatever we want to do. So after this presentation, you will eliminate the stigma of beautiful women in society and feel empowered to chase your wildest dreams without limitations. Especially as girls who are here in like this pageant realm, you may hear a lot of people talk about how like, you know, how does this match up with your scholastic endeavors? But you guys know this is a scholarship competition. You're doing this because you are brilliant young ladies, in addition to being beautiful as well. Everybody can't be beauty and brains. It's a hard job, but I'm gonna teach you all my 4 themes of success as to how you can continue to be both beauty and brains. Those 4 themes are being fearless, being strong, being smart, and being true. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that. First, starting off with writing down one big thing you wish you could accomplish. If you could not fail, if money was not an issue, if time was not an issue, what would that one thing be? I'm gonna give everybody a couple of seconds to think about that. It could be something about what you want to do in your career, or it could be something that you've been afraid to even dream about because you're thinking that other people may think it's not cool, other people might not think it's possible for you. Nobody in your state or your hometown or your high school has been able to do this. Think about what that thing is for you. And now my question is, because you knew it didn't take you a long time, there was something that probably came to your mind first thing. And so my question for you is, why not? Why can't you accomplish that thing? For me, it was always becoming the first doctor in my family. If anybody in here is pre-medicine, pre-nursing, you know that it is a very, or even if you are the first in your family to do anything, to break the generational curses, the generational patterns, you know that it is definitely an uphill battle. And so for me, there's a lot of different people, places, things that tell me that I can't do it, but because I believe that I can, I know that I will accomplish this one day. And that starts off with me being fearless. So here are my 5 steps to becoming fearless in your journey to whatever it is that you want to do and what you want to accomplish. First things first is going to be to let go. This means letting go of what other people think of you, because you will never be able to please everyone, and it is rarely worth sacrificing yourself to accommodate some other people's beliefs about you, who you should be, and what you should do. So let go of the fear of failing, because you can't succeed without at least failing or at least trying. And you can't, if you fail, that just means that you tried. Let go of your status. I know that some of you guys are probably also that girl, and it's probably really scary for you to go outside of the norms, outside of the box, doing something that people aren't used to doing, but you can't reach the goals that you set for yourself if you're too busy worrying about what other people think of you. And the discomfort of fear and embarrassment, that's something that we all have. It's human nature. But in order to become fearless, to be both beauty and brains, to be successful, not only in your high school endeavors, but when you go off to college, a big thing is that you must let go of the discomfort of being fear, because that feeling is just going to hold you back, when instead you should use it to propel you for your future. Next thing is to ask for help. We're going to talk a lot about mentorships, but there are a lot of different ways that you can ask for help in your journey. And again, thinking about kind of like your application season to college, or even just when you're in college, how to be successful when there, finding mentors each and every step of the way, having your partners in crime. So whether that be, I know for me, when I was in college, I had my partner in crime when it came to biology. I was a biology major, one of the hardest majors that you can probably do in college in general, but like especially at Spelman. And there were a couple of girls who I'm like, I would not have graduated if it wasn't for you, because you were the one who woke me up and be like, come on, we're going to study at the library today. You're the one who said, like, you know, did you submit this assignment? Making sure that you have somebody along with you on the journey will help you actually be successful. But sometimes they may not just come to you, but knowing that this is what you need to be successful, it's really important to ask help. So ask for help from your mentors, ask for help from your partners, ask for help from your support system, whether that be your family or again, your friends or other people who can just let you know and remind you that you are not alone on this journey. Next thing in becoming fearless is to think big. We practiced this in the exercise before this slide, when you don't want to think about, well, what will happen when somebody says something, or what will happen if I fail, or you want to make the biggest plans possible. I always say, if you shoot for the moon, you'll land on the stars, even if you fail. People look at you and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you're doing all these amazing things, girl. How are you doing that? And you're gonna be like, girl, I'm actually not doing all the things that I want to do, but because I'm thinking big. Y'all know exactly what I'm trying to say, but we're on a think big, okay? You don't want to think small. You don't want to let other people, again, put their limiting beliefs on you. Whatever you can dream of, start now, becoming fearless and thinking, what's stopping me? Nothing and no one can stop me from achieving my wildest dreams. So why not dream bigger? That way I can get as close to it as possible. Think it, believe it, plan for it, and then you end up doing it. Next thing, making a plan. I talked about that. It's not just about thinking it. Like I can say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be Beyonce. But like, hey, what does that entail? It entails me learning how to sing, which I can't do. It requires me learning how to dance, going to practice. You know, what does Beyonce do? She eats fruits and vegetables for months at a time. I don't know if I can do that. Now, you can put the limiting beliefs on yourself, but also you cannot make a plan, and therefore you're not even making progress towards the direction of what it will take in order for you to be successful. Now, me being Beyonce, that's not realistic, but me becoming a doctor is realistic. What is that going to take? Me going to college and getting my degree, me having a good GPA, me taking the admissions exam, me finding letters of recommendations, me things like that. So think about your plan, and whether this is, again, educational, an educational goal, an academic goal, or it is a personal goal. When you guys decided, you know what, I think I want to be Miss HBCU teen or Miss HBCU junior teen, you weren't just like, cool, the crown is on my head, perfect. I know the crown is already yours, but what's the first thing that you did? You probably did your research. Then you put in the application, then you interviewed. You thought, okay, what would be my talent? What would I want to talk about during interview if they asked me why I wanted this crown? Making a plan. You guys are already 10 steps ahead of your peers because you know how to go after something and then break down the little steps in order to accomplish them. So that's exactly what you want to continue to do for all your goals. And the thing is that as you go throughout your college experience, you're going to receive a lot of different setbacks. Sometimes you're going to have a goal, you're going to have a plan, and things are not going to go the way that you thought that they were going to, the way that you would have wished or hoped that they were going to go to. So it's also changing your plan as you go, making sure that you're not defeated the first time you hear no or the first time the door closes on you, but shifting it. That way you continue to be fearless in chasing after your goals. And last but not least, like I said, take action, making sure that you are not just having things in your head for a long time without actually making any progress. I know that you guys are probably getting excited for the new year as we have New Year's resolutions coming up, but how many of you guys have one New Year's resolution from the beginning of 2023 that you didn't even make any progress towards? Okay, I see a couple of hands. And I'm the same way. We're all like that. But it's because when we made that goal, did we take action? Did we have a plan to make sure that that thing was going to come true? So it's one thing to think big. It's another thing to make sure that we're actually taking the steps towards those goals. So when it comes to being fearless, it's actually not as hard as people think that it is. They think, oh my gosh, like you do this, you do this, you do this. Like, how did you start? Like, for example, YouTube. A lot of people want to start YouTube and it's like, how did you start? I made a plan and I actually did it and I stuck to it. I asked for help from people if I didn't know how to do something. I thought big. I said, you know what? One day I could have 1 million subscribers. I made a plan. Okay, I'm going to upload a video every single week. And then I took action. I actually had to post the first video. I couldn't call myself a YouTube content creator if I never actually took the action to post the first video. So you have to be fearless and actually press submit, press send, sing the song, upload the TikTok, apply for the pageant, whatever it is. That is what it takes to become fearless. Now, I mentioned this before, but when you are in your journey, especially again, when we're talking about this matriculation into college, a lot of times it's going to be so different than high school. And you're going to be comparing yourself to a lot of different things, whether it be your high school town, your hometown, your HBCU, the likes and the follows and the shares you have on social media, past mistakes that you have, your struggles, like all of these are how our actions, and sometimes people will try and define you by these things. They will try and put you in a box and say like, oh, because you're from this place, then you must want to do this thing, or you're only capable of doing this thing, or you possibly can't become this HBCU teen, you only get 3 likes on your post. Okay, but the directors see me trying, so maybe if I keep going, then these things will not define me. It doesn't define my future. So I just wanted to also remind you guys that you're not defined by what happened to you, where you came from, what your story is, what you look like, or how things look now, or even how many times you've tried or how many followers you have. Like, you can determine what your future looks like if you decide not to listen to what other people define you as. All right, so I have some random numbers here on the screen, and I'm pretty sure you won't be able to guess what these numbers mean. So 38,000 are the number of people who died by suicide in 2020. And this number is actually only slightly higher because of the pandemic. 5,455 are the number of young people who died from a drug overdose that same year. And 69% of young people are in juvenile detention for stealing or for physical violence. You guys are probably like, okay, Brelynn, you lost me. Like, why are we now talking about all of these horrible and sad statistics? Like, what does this have to do with me being fearless and chasing after my dreams? Well, it is because when you are being fearless, and I mentioned this before, you will experience failure and hardships. This is something, I usually say this during the intro of my presentations. This presentation is what I wish I would have known before going into college. It is everything where it's just like, dang, why ain't nobody tell me? Ain't nobody tell me nothing. This is everything that I wish somebody would have told me college is not going to be an easy breeze. Even getting into college, you're going to experience failure and hardships over and over and over again, left and right. They're going to hit you when you down. They're going to still be punching you, even if you are one of the most successful people, or even if you have one of the smoothest transitions from high school to college or throughout your college experience, because that is just what college does to you. And so even if it's something as far as like having a low GPA in comparison to being like an all A student in high school, or going through mental health struggles because you're far away from home, being in a relationship and then dealing with a breakup, not making the team, losing an election, going through some domestic violence, experiencing low income as being a broke college student, losing a friend, whether it be unfortunately through them passing away or just because friendships don't always last in college, you are always going to be experiencing some type of failure or hardship while in college, and you have to keep going. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but there is something called the Black Superwoman Syndrome. So this is super special that I can share this with you all here, because you're all young Black ladies who are attending HBCUs, which I'm super excited about. And so you will either learn about this in school, or you probably have already learned it, or you are experiencing it and you didn't even know that there was a name for it. But the strong Black woman, we've all heard of this, is this ideology that emerged during slavery as a survival tactic and is passed on through generations by parents' socialization of Black girls. So basically this idea that Black women can handle anything. You can go through anything, you've got it, you don't need help. But at the end of the day, we are still women, we're still young girls, we're still people who it's okay if we don't always have it all together. And a lot of times other people don't want to tell us that because they A, don't know that that's what we need to hear, and B, they haven't experienced it themselves, so they don't know, like, that's what I need during this time. So I also wanted to talk about, in this category of being fearless, what it looks like in order for you to bounce back from hardships and failures when you are in this process of becoming, because you will experience it. And having the tools before you start, it's one of those things where you probably want to go through your first thing and be like, oh, life is happening. And then you're gonna be like, oh, you know what? Brelynn did tell me about this like all those months ago, before I even thought about college, before I was even here at my school. So I understand if you don't think you need this information now, but just tuck it in your back pocket, put it in the back of your brain, and hopefully one day it will serve you in some way. So what does it look like to go against the Black woman syndrome and really give yourself space to be exactly as you are? So the obligation to show strength, that's out the window. You don't have to do anything that you don't have the capacity to do. One thing that I love to tell people is that I don't have the capacity for that right now. It's my favorite language, whether it be, oh, we're supposed to be, meeting for this. I don't have the capacity for that right now. Oh, you need my dining dollars for that. I don't have the capacity to also feed myself and you today. And these may seem like little things, but as a Black woman, feeling like you always have to be the one to take care of everyone, even if it comes to telling your parents like, hey, I'm away at college. I know that I used to be the big sister and be taking care of the family or these and that, but I don't have the capacity to both be second mom and a student right now. These are conversations that you have to be comfortable sharing with people who are the closest to you, because they may not understand how being fearless and dealing with hardships also means that you have to put yourself first and take care of yourself. And that's not a weakness, that's actually showing strength. The next thing is making sure that you're allowing yourself to show your emotions and not suppress them. Again, this idea of being a strong Black woman sometimes makes us feel like, oh, I have to have it all together. And you will experience this on your HBCU campuses as well. Everybody is moving and grooving, looking like they always have it together. Like, oh my gosh, how does this girl have a full face of makeup on? And we have a final today, and I only got 2 hours of sleep, and she must have gotten an A on the exam. And you ask somebody how they did afterwards, and she's like, oh my gosh, girl, they are lying. They are lying, they are lying, they are lying. And it doesn't help you any to lie as well. If that's what keeps you going, like, you don't know if this girl was up crying all night and she was like, well, I only got 1 more hour, I might as well put on some mascara because I know I'm about to fail this test. People are gonna fake it until they make it. And so you don't need to feel as though you are less than, or like you are not as successful, or that you're not doing what you need to do because you don't feel like other people are showing their emotions or showing that they are going through things. And also, you all are leaders here. So you will notice that when you create space for things, people will follow around you. So if you're like, y'all, I ain't got it today, all right? Today ain't the day. I'm not feeling it. You'll notice that people will start saying to you, like, I'm not feeling it today. This is actually a day where I don't have it. Or, you know what, I'm actually a little bit sad today. Or I'm actually really overwhelmed and stressed. And the more you're real with yourself, the more real people that you will attract to you. And then you'll actually have a community of people who you can be yourself around, who you can be safe around, who you can take off the cape with, and who you can actually express your emotions with. And that's really healthy. And that'll get you through the hard times and the failures that you may experience during college. Next thing I kind of mentioned before was that obligation to help others. You don't have to help anyone if you don't have the capacity to. And then lastly, this resistance to being vulnerable or being dependent. We talked about this earlier, asking for help. It's okay to be vulnerable and say, like, listen, I got a 32% on this biology exam. And I looked over to my right and I saw that you had a 72. Now, we both didn't do that well, but maybe if I get with you, I can get, but you have to be vulnerable enough to say, like, listen, I'm not doing that well. And not like, oh, I have it all together, everything's perfect, or she's going to think less of me if she thinks that I don't have it. How are you going to succeed and move forward if you're not able to be real, not only with yourself, but with the people who can possibly help you? So these are just things that keep in the back of your mind, and hopefully they can be beneficial to you at a later point in time. But these are all the things underneath the category of being fearless. And the next thing is being strong, which we've kind of already been talking about, which is that our strength lies in the ability to say that we are human, not that we are perfect and that we have it all together. Feel pain, ask for help, and allow yourself to be human. The first way to do that is to endure. So I will use an example. For me, I am a member of Mahogany Emotion Dance Team, which is the dance team at Spelman College for the Morehouse College Athletics and Band. It took me 4 times trying out for the dance team in order to make it, for a lot of different reasons. But I didn't give up and I ended up officially making the team eventually. However, there were plenty of years where I experienced a setback because I, as a person who grew up dancing my entire life, wasn't on the dance team at college. And it was I had such a cognitive dissonance between, wait a minute, this is what I've always done to now that's not what I'm doing. I had a really hard time balancing that. And a lot of you guys may experience that as well. Maybe not because of hardships, but maybe because your HBCU doesn't have field hockey and that's what you did growing up. Or there's nobody at your school that you find who likes to play chess and that's what you do for fun. There's a lot of different ways that you may find that your high school and college experiences or even your hometown and your new state experiences will differ, and you may experience some, horrible feelings or some bad feelings about that. And so the first thing, like I said, is to endure. So don't hide your feelings. Accept reality. Allow yourself to feel without blaming yourself, hurting yourself, or taking it out on others, and listen to your emotions. So it's something that you guys can practice now when you are experiencing things. When I didn't make the dance team, I remember people they were knocking on my dorm room door, and I was like, nobody's here. Like, I don't want to talk to y'all. Like, I want to be in my room crying because I'm sad. But it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what? Wow, I'm sad because this is something that I had dreamed of for a really long time. I didn't make the team. I'm sad about this. And it's not necessarily my fault. I tried my best. I did the best that I could do. But I'm sad in this moment because I didn't accomplish something that I really, really wanted. And that is okay. Again, not having this idea of like, oh, I have to have it together. Like, oh, everybody come in. Oh, thanks for coming to the auditions. Did you guys see me not make the team? Oh, so sad, but I'm okay. Like, I'm crying because I'm sad, and getting it out there, allowing you to feel those feelings first will actually help you in the future to move forward. So the next thing is to change. Think about how you can change your circumstance, change your perception, change your attitude, or change your plan. So obviously, if I didn't make the team 1 year, but I ended up making it the next year, there was something that I changed when I went back the second time. What was that going to be? If I was going to change my circumstance, I probably needed to go to more clinics. That way I understood exactly how this particular dance team, how their style of dance was. Because growing up, being a classical ballet dancer, joining a majorette team is night and day. So I need to change my attitude towards this is something that I'm learning new. I may have danced my entire life, but I've never danced in this way before, and I'm capable of doing it, but it will take some work. And changing my plan. I'm gonna make sure that I meet with a team member once a quarter to let them know that I'm interested in making the team, that I am working towards improvements in order to make sure that I'm ready to be on the team during the next auditions. And I'm going to anything that the team is putting on in order to make sure that I am prepared the next time auditions come around. So actually putting actions towards it instead of just sitting in this, oh, I didn't make the team for a year, and then come back and be like, oh, okay, let me try again. Girl, well, what have you done? What have you done to make sure that things are going to be different than they were the last time? And then the last thing is overcoming. In order to be strong, when people, and this is all the practical things that when people from the outside are looking in, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, Brelynn, like, how did you audition for the dance team 4 times and you didn't give up? Like, I could never do that. And it's like, yeah, you probably could never, because it takes a strong person to do that. Do I have weaknesses? Absolutely. Do I have feelings? Absolutely. But I allowed myself to feel those feelings. I then decided I was going to change my circumstance by changing my perception, changing my attitude, and changing my plan. And then in preparation for the next time I was going to audition for the team, I found inspiration. I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Kayla Pittman dancing with the dancing dolls every day when I wake up, because that's going to inspire me to go to the gym and to stretch afterwards. That way I'm prepared for auditions that are not in for 9 months. I'm going to think about, if I don't make the dance team at all, do I want to join the dance theater? Do I want to do a stroll team or a step team? That way I can continue to live out my passion of dancing, and it's not all tied to achieving this one goal. And surrounding myself with people who care. So I had other people who I auditioned with who also didn't make it, and then we made it together the next time around. So these are all the ways that from the outside looking in, people just think that, oh, you've got it like that, or things, don't affect you. But it's really because you're taking the time to take care of yourself, to plan the future, and to not allow your hardships to stop you from achieving your goals. Because you will likely receive one no, but sometimes it doesn't mean no. I love this saying, God doesn't always say no. Sometimes it just means not yet. So when you experience a closed door, reflect, gain clarity, and then move forward. This is also a really great quote that I love. Strength comes from vulnerability and being able to say, I need help. Let's see. All right, next thing we have here is be smart. So we have be fearless, be strong, and now we have be smart. These are things, again, that you guys can start doing now or even moving forward to when you are in college in order to be successful. S stands for study. This means putting in the work to understand and learn the information. Now, things are a lot different since I was in high school, but I will just say this. Again, these are things that I wish people would have told me before I went into college. High school academics are not the same as college academics. If any of you guys are taking AP classes, that's closer. If you're taking, I think it's IB classes, that's closer. If you are dual enrolled and you're taking classes and like getting your associate's degree, okay, you get a good feel of it, but there's nothing like college level classes, especially if you're taking like a really intense major and you're having to take multiple of the classes all at one time. And when you guys are going to be at your HBCUs, there's always this social factor that's on top of everything that, I mean, I'm sure people at like PWI party schools also have to deal with, but it's really, really important to go into school with the mindset of knowing this is actually going to be harder than high school was, even if high school was a breeze for me. If high school was hard for me, I'm gonna have to really make sure I put in the work and study in college. Don't go in so much thinking about the goals of what you want to accomplish. I want to be on this dance team. I want to join this organization. I want to be this campus queen. And you're not thinking about, how am I going to be talking to my professors during office hours? What is the place that I'm going to study at in the library? Like, also think about the academics, because you can't do anything in college if your grades are not okay. It's the same thing for high school, but I think that it's a lot harder to maintain a good GPA in college than it is in high school. I feel like the only people who I knew in high school who like were ineligible were like the basketball players, It was like, y'all don't never do y'all homework, like da 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 da. But in college, you'll be seeing people out and about and they looking like they really doing stuff, and then you realize, how come you didn't join this? How come you didn't in that? Oh, you don't have the GPA because you're here playing games. At the end of the day, we're here at school for school. So don't forget that going in. It's super important to make sure that you actually put in the work and study and put your school first always. That's how you be smart. Okay, the next thing is marketing yourself. A really, really great way to sell yourself with your resume and your cover letter, or even just thinking about, it's really nice to have a brand when you're in college at your HBCU, especially if you are planning to be a future HBCU queen. People need to know who you are. Like, what makes you stand out? Oh, this is the girl that's from Nashville, Tennessee, and she is so sweet, and she loves to bake cookies. And I don't know, something about that just clicks with me. Or, oh my gosh, this girl, she is so funny. Every time you see her, she's gonna be cracking up, and her favorite color is blue. Like, little things like that are gonna help people click and remember you. And then we're thinking about, oh my gosh, you know what? Our organization is doing this holiday baking party. Maybe I should ask that girl who loves to bake cookies if she wants to do this event, or if she wants to whatever. So market yourself, especially using your social media, on the things that you are good at and the things that you want people to know you for. So for example, for me, I did YouTube. I started when I was in college. So I was always asked to be on panels. I was always asked to speak to the incoming classes. I was asked to be a student ambassador. I was asked to be a peer, what do they call it? Peer assistant leader for the new student orientation every year, because they knew people, especially young people, love to hear you talk and they relate to you and they wouldn't mind you being their leader. Like, you're really good at this mentorship thing. Cool. I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the time, but now if I was looking back on it, I'm very happy with the way that my experience went, but unknowingly I was able to market myself, and that opened up doors for me. So when it comes to both your social life, make sure that you are marketing yourself. And then also when it comes to school, again, academics wise, sell yourself with your resume and your cover letter. So now it is super easy to use ChatGPT and be like, hey Chat, everybody know about Chat? Okay, cool. Be like, Chat, make me a cover letter for this summer research situation or whatever. Like, there's no excuses now to where you cannot be exactly whatever you are applying for, what they're looking for. So the next thing with that, actually, I'm going to skip one. The R is relationships. So getting to know your teachers and your guidance counselors, because it's super important that you have a group of people who actually know you and preferably like you. That way they can write your letters of recommendations. Because even when you get into college, you will need a letter of recommendation for everything. You will need one to join organizations, to shadow a doctor at the nearby hospital, to do summer programs, for scholarships. And you'll be like, dang, you will find yourself constantly, if you don't have somebody or a couple of people who will write those letters for you, you will end up missing out on opportunities because you don't have all the pieces. So it's really important to have relationships with your professors when in college. The way that you do that is going to office hours. Again, you're gonna find that some people, especially, I don't know if anybody here is first generation like I am, these are things that took me way too long to figure out myself because nobody told me. Hopefully you already know this information and you're like, okay, I knew that I was gonna have to go to office hours. But if you don't know, please allow me to be the one to tell you. You should have a schedule. Just as much as you have your schedule for classes, like, okay, Monday I go to biology, and then I go to chemistry, and then I go to physics. Well, Monday at 2:15, in between biology and chemistry, I need to go to my chemistry professor's office hours. You need to have it on your schedule and go as consistently as you go to classes. And even on the days where you don't have a quiz that you want to review, you don't have a test that you have questions about, you don't have any questions from the homework, what do you do then? So, Professor so-and-so, what was your favorite class in undergrad? Where'd you go to college? Or, Professor so-and-so, let me tell you about what I have going on right now. So I actually have a dog at home that I'm really missing. Yeah, I'm actually from Tennessee. Where are you from? Oh, you're from Tennessee too. Wow, that's really cool. What was your favorite thing to eat when you were in Tennessee? Oh my gosh, I love that place. Oh, I've never been before. When I go back home, building relationships. having connections with people, because when it's time for them to write a letter of recommendation, they want to be like, I don't know who this girl is. Even if you have an A in their class, they may be like, I mean, the girl, she shows up, she does her work, she gets an A, but I don't know her. Maybe I'll write her letter recommendation and it'll say so and so is a great student and she does her work. Or it may say she's so personable and I know that she would do well at your nursing home or at this summer research program or in your medical school class or in your law school internship or working at your law firm. Like, you never know who knows who, but I will tell you that you will need someone to speak on your behalf. So make it a point to at least have 2 professors who you can ask for letter recommendation at any time. Get them early in your career, because it's also helpful when you're thinking about if you want to do any post-secondary schools. It's helpful if they've been your professor in multiple classes or if they've known you for multiple years. It's harder if it's like, well, I knew her, I taught her in her freshman year for 1 semester, or I just taught her this semester. It's better if they're like, I've known her for 3 years, I've really seen her grow as a student and as a young woman, and I can really speak on her behalf. So that's something super important to think about when going into college, is making it a point to make a relationship. And again, not only with your teachers and guidance counselors, but as we mentioned, having a partner in crime. So making relationships with your classmates. So the people who are in your major, you're gonna see them in your same classes over and over and over again. And when there's times when it's like, sis, I ain't got it, I need you to know my character, to where, hey, can you help me with this homework assignment? Or can you remind me when this thing is due and I didn't think about it? Or can I make sure that, me and you work together, so whenever it's time for us to do a group project, I can lean on you. Making sure that you're not just like, okay, I'm gonna come to class with my hoodie on, not talk to anybody, whatever. If you're not a super people person, that's fine, but find 1 or 2 people who can be your accountability partners, who can look out for you. You never know if you end up being sick, if you have to leave to go home for a week or 2, if you just don't got it in you, whatever it is, break your leg, anything could happen in college. You at least want to have 1 person in every class who you have a relationship with outside of your professor. We skipped A, and this is active. So again, there's a really big balance in college between your academics and your social life. And so it's really important that as much as you are focusing on your academic life, your education, you're also having some fun, because college is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So set those goals before you go in, and make sure that you are joining extracurricular activities that show that you are well-rounded. That's something that you guys can continue to do when you are in high school if you're not doing it already. But it's something that'll be helpful for you in college as well, whether it be for different organizations or just for your mental health. And then lastly, the T is to be teachable. So being able to take advice from those who are helping you along the way, whether that be, you will notice that there's like this really weird, like, you're only a year older than me, but you've experienced this college life 1 more year than I have, and therefore you're my mentor. There's going to be people who are now, many years ahead of you, and they're your mentor. You're going to have professors who are your mentor. You may even have like a dean or somebody like an admissions, or even like a VP who could be your mentor. But don't negate being teachable from any and everybody. There may be somebody who it's like, hey, this may be my first year in college, but I took this AP class from the same textbook that our professor is teaching from. I can help you do this. Like, I can help you. Be teachable. Don't think that you are that you're too good to learn from other people. And when people give you advice, whether they be your peers or somebody who's 1 year ahead of you or somebody who is 30 years ahead of you, they tell you to do something, if you trust them, take their advice, because that really makes the big difference between, how come ain't nobody tell me? Well, we did try to tell you, Jennifer, but you didn't want to do it because you didn't want to listen to what other people told you. So that's how you be smart. That's not right English, but that's how you be smart moving forward. And then I also have a couple of tips to study smart. So these are 3 things, again, that I wish that I would have thought about or known before going into class, instead of having to kind of figure it out. While you guys are still in high school, figure out your study style. That way, when you are experiencing all these hard classes at the same time, and you are, like, again, the level of intensity is much higher when you are in college. You don't want to have to be figuring out how to study then. figure it out now. That way you can just be copy, paste, repeat for each class, and you can spend the extra time with your friends and doing other fun things. So preparing before a class is really important. Reading the learning objectives, reading the chapters if they are provided, watching videos for a head start, especially for things like in the sciences or like even like for law things. Like YouTube, they have everything on there. You can learn the entire lesson better than your professor will even teach you before you even get to class. So it'll help you if you're like, I have no idea what the heck we're about to learn, to kind of get an understanding of it, especially in the ways that maybe work with your learning style. And then finishing previous assignments / reviewing the lecture before the current one. And again, meeting your professor at their office hours if you have any questions before the next class. So a big thing is that you will be going to class often. Things will stack on top of each other. So always trying to make sure that, okay, I'm not like, I have 30 lectures to review before tomorrow's quiz. Like, no, I've been on it every single day. Even if I don't have homework, when I'm leaving class, I'm reviewing it. Before I go to class, I'm reviewing the next day's class. And that way I'm always kind of like in the flow of things. So being prepared is a really great way to always be able to easily be able and quickly be able to study when it's time for quizzes and exams. Again, mastering your note taking. This presentation is a few years old, I will not lie. So nowadays you guys are able to have like iPads and stuff in classes. And so you probably already know whether you like to take your stuff by hand, whether you like to type, whether you like to voice record. But if you've never done it before, try it out now. That way you know, like, I have to voice record a lecture because I need to listen to it over again. If a professor is talking fast, I must just sit there and listen to them and then like go back. And even nowadays it's much easier because they may have their lectures recorded and then later on you can watch them. Is that something that is feasible for my time? Like, do I really want to sit through a lecture twice, or do I not even want to go to class and end up watching the lectures on 2x speed later on? Figure out what works for you. And then lastly is getting help early. Like I mentioned, you should always be in office hours and studying in groups, and also with the teacher's assistants and doing practice exams. And if you find yourself if it's not clicking, don't wait until you get the quiz or the exam score back to be like, I knew I didn't really get it. Like, no, I don't think I'm gonna do well on this quiz or the exam before we even go in. Let me get help. That way I don't have now a grade that I have to overcome. And now I'm always like on this upward trajectory throughout the school year or throughout the semester. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm starting off strong. That way, if I miss an assignment or if I don't do so well on an exam, it's not make or break. The last thing that you want is to be at the end of the semester and it's like, cool, if I make a 222% on the final, then I can pass. We want to be like, I mean, whatever I get on the final doesn't really matter because I've been doing the work all semester. So make sure you start off strong and get help early if you need it. And of course, never be afraid to ask for help. You're probably not the only one needing clarification. One big thing that I realized in college is that you have to advocate for yourself, and things are just a lot more like loose, depending on who your professor is. If you're like, Professor Johnson, I don't think we're ready for a quiz on Friday. I think that if you gave us a mini quiz right now, we could all say that we could maybe use one more review class. You'd be surprised. Like, some teachers would be like, okay, like, I actually agree. I don't think that you guys are ready. But if you didn't speak up, and everybody else could be like, yeah, she's right, Miss Johnson, we're not ready. Instead of everybody being silent and everybody failing, and then your professor coming the next day and being like, y'all failed the exam, y'all are not studying. It's like, listen, we're trying our best. And if people know that you're trying, they'll be willing to work with you. So also don't be afraid. Again, you guys are leaders, to speak up in your class and know that you can advocate for yourself. Things are a little bit more like flexible in college. Okay, we're gonna move through this quickly because I do want to leave time for questions for you all. But setting SMART goals, I think you guys have maybe possibly heard of this before. Making sure that they are specific, measurable, that you have somebody who is accountable for your goals, or you can be accountable for yourself, that they are realistic, and also, what is this here? I can't see. And that it's timely. So again, just going back for a quick example of me making the dance team, I wanted to say, okay, I wanted to make the dance team, or I could say I just wanted to dance in college, or I just want to dance. Well, I can go into my closet every day and dance if I want to. Like, what exactly does that look like for me? Measurable. What does that look like? That means that I need to make sure that I am dancing 3 times a week, or I'm going to the monthly clinics, or that I am, whatever it is, be accountable. Like, you know what, if I haven't stretched in a week, then how am I going to prepare myself to make the dance team? And do I have an accountability partner who was like, hey girl, we're both going to audition for the team together. Have you stretched this week? Have you practiced some stands? Have you done this? Have you done that? Is it realistic? Is it like, well, nothing really is out of your reach, but sometimes you may have to make sure that you're in the right mindset, you have the right motivation, that you have the right level and skill sets and time frame and the abilities in order for it to happen. And then again, making sure that you're not thinking about things too late. Sometimes it's like, oh, I should have started this when I was 12. Like I'm way behind the ball now. So that's another great way to set SMART goals. Okay, moving forward, we can talk about the last thing, which is what makes you unique. And that's all about finding what your passion is, what your purpose is, and being true to you. So with you all here in the Miss HBCU Teen Scholarship Pageant, this is already something that sets you apart. But even amongst yourselves, as you prepare for the crown, or even just your life outside of this pageant, you have to know what makes you you, because that is how you're going to continue to be fearless, be strong, be smart, and be true. That's what makes you beauty and brains. So my steps for this are to make sure that you know what you like to do. You don't have to make up your purpose. It's something that's already there and something that you are good at. And don't be afraid to try new things. You guys are young. I don't know if you all feel young or if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm already young. But like, you have time to try things out and be like, wow, I didn't know that I was actually really good at video games. I didn't know that I was really good at home decor until I decorated my dorm room, and then everybody wanted me to decorate theirs. Like, you still have time to try things out and to find what makes you unique. So definitely, this is what makes you stand out, is knowing what makes you you. And part of that is what you like to do. Another thing that's really important is finding what the world needs. So what am I made to do to feel this need? What breaks my heart? What catches my attention whenever I hear about something? I always like to tell people that I have a heart for social justice. So currently, I have I'm in a fellowship at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation as a National Racial Equity Initiative and Social Justice Research Fellow. It's the longest title ever. But it's really important to me because as a future physician, but specifically one who wants to be an OBGYN, I'm super passionate about the maternal health crisis. I think it is extremely sad that Black women are dying at 2 to 3 times the rate as to our white counterparts when it comes to giving birth. I don't think that having a baby should be a death sentence, and I don't think that our race should determine whether or not we live or die when giving birth. These are things that are common sense to me, but if I really think about it, and I think about the women who have died, the women whose voices have not been heard, I can literally cry from it because it's something that matters to me. It's something that pulls on my heartstrings. This is not everybody's cup of tea. Everybody may be like, even as a Black woman, they're like, oh yeah, that's important. But is it important to me? There are certain things that are kind of like, for example, homelessness. You could see somebody on the side of the street and be like, I need $1 now. Like, I have to help them. This is something that I don't know why, but it bothers me to see nobody helping them. Or maybe it's when it's mentorship. It's like, if I see a little kid and they don't know what they're doing, I need to help them. Think about what that thing is for you. Everybody has that thing, and that can kind of point you towards the direction of your purpose and your passion, because everybody's thing is not going to be the same. And even if it's similar, it may not be for the same reasons, or it may not look the same when you guys are doing those things. So think about kind of the things that pull on your heartstring and what the world needs. Also, in a perfect world, what could you do to make a difference and leave a positive mark? So for me, answering that question, I'm like, well, it's very clear. If I'm a doctor, I can change the maternal health status of every Black woman who I serve. I can make sure that no Black woman dies on an exam table if I'm the one who is delivering their baby. So that's how I can leave a positive mark in this world, and something that actually matters to me, and that speaks to my purpose. Clarifying your vision. So what's at risk if you don't do what you are called to do? Right now, the amount of women who are dying during childbirth if there's not somebody who is advocating for them, not only in the exam rooms, but now that I'm in this political space, I find that there are ways that I can advocate for all women, because I'm like, one day I want to be a mother. One day I have a sister, I have cousins. I have these wonderful young women here on this call who I all hope that if any of you choose to be a mother, that you don't have to have a negative experience, or your family doesn't have a negative experience. What's at risk is that anyone who I know personally and love, or even myself, could be impacted by this, and then it's too late. And I don't ever want to say that I knew this is what I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it, and now there's consequences for it. And then lastly, aligning your goals with your passion and your purpose. So although I'm not in medical school yet, I'm currently applying to it, and I hope to matriculate in the fall. Where I'm at right now, since receiving my master's, is still walking in my purpose, because I know what I like to do, what I'm good at, what pulls on my heartstrings, and how I want to make a difference in this world. So although I'm not an OBGYN right now, I know, like, okay, after I go to medical school, I can apply to OBGYN residency, and I can then help the maternal mortality crisis in that way. But here and now, as a research fellow at a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, I can do research on the maternal mortality crisis and build some legislation that our current congressional members can use in order to change the way that Black mothers experience childbirth in America. Although I'm not a doctor yet, I'm still making a difference in my passion. And that's what's going to help you know that you are walking in your purpose, being true to yourself, and that you are happy. So with that being said, when in the beginning we talked about kind of what I would do if I could not fail, I know that it is my purpose to become a doctor for women. And even though I'll be the first person in my family to go to college, and let alone become a doctor, and I have failed tests, one time I failed an entire class, I have still been able to learn from it and grow from it. I have spent months studying to take the medical college admissions test and have been successful with it. And not one step has been easy, but because I know that it's my calling, it has been worth it. And that is how I continue to be beauty and brains. I don't compare myself to anyone, because I know that no one in the entire world can do a better job of being me than me. And I remember my 4 themes of success: being fearless, being strong, being smart, and being true. And that is my presentation. Woo! I try to get it through in less than an hour. It normally takes me a little bit longer than that. But if you guys have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you again, Brelynn, for doing this call with us this evening. We're super glad to have you, not only working with the ladies on workshops, but also working with the organization and sitting on our board of directors. So we truly do appreciate you. We thank you. And I'm sure that the ladies took a lot away this evening.
Yay! Thank you all so much for having me. I think you guys saw my social media. It was there in the last chat as well. If you guys ever have any questions, whether it be with Ms. HBCU teen or college or high school or whatever, I'm here for you all. So you can definitely DM me on Instagram at Brelynn.Hunt.
Thank you,
Brelynn.